The following is a CNN special report.
On the SUNY New Paltz campus, an hour and a half north of Manhattan, third-year student Cassie Blotner felt she fit right in.
They have a really good political science program that drew me there. And I love the vibes of the town, super progressive as well.
But in 2021, she says she was kicked out of a group called New Paltz Accountability, or NPA, a group she co-founded for survivors of sexual assault. Why? Because she shared a post on Instagram about being a Zionist.
It said that Jews are indigenous to Israel and that you can't colonize the land of which you're indigenous to.
What happened after that post?
One of the founding members of NPA said, "So you don't think Palestinians are being oppressed?" But I have no animosity towards Palestinians. Another member sent this horrible text to me in the NPA group chat accusing me of being an oppressor. He told me that because I'm a Zionist that I condone violence against Palestinians and just made all these uncalled for assumptions.
Assumptions that human rights lawyer Alyza Lewin calls contemporary anti-Semitism.
People today have a very difficult time understanding what Zionism is. They don't realize that Judaism is not just a religion, that Judaism also has this sense of Jewish peoplehood. We're this ethno-religion, right? That Jews share a common history, a common ancestry. And that history and that ancestry is completely rooted in the land of Israel. And it has absolutely nothing to do with the Arab-Israeli conflict. They may be very critical, as a matter of fact, of the current government of Israel. They may be very pro-Palestinian human rights. It makes no difference. They're considered pariahs.
They accused you of causing sexual violence against others?
They did. So they told me that because I'm a Zionist, that means I'm an oppressor. And that means that I'm not against all forms of oppression, which means that I'm not against sexual violence.
This was posted on NPA's Instagram account. The origins of sexual violence are rooted in colonialism. Being against sexual violence but indifferent to colonialism are conflicting ideologies. Justifying the occupation of Palestine in any way condones the violence used to acquire the land. This does not mean we do not support survivors or students with different political beliefs.
The language of the left fighting for the political, racial, and social justice, unfortunately, sometimes I'll say inadvertently, is creating an atmosphere that is, instead of promoting true inclusivity and acceptance of diversity, it's promoting a perspective that is creating an environment that is hostile towards Jews.
Harassment that Blotner experienced at SUNY New Paltz is part of a trend, rising anti-Semitism in various forms on college campuses across the U.S. Lewin is president of the Brandeis Center, which provides legal representation to victims of anti-Semitism on college campuses.
There's greater demand than our capacity to provide and meet the demand at this moment.
The Palestinian cause is a prominent one among progressives right now. And those voices have big megaphones at universities. Experts across the board caution anti-Semitism is growing on the left, but it is not equivalent to hate from the right. At SUNY New Paltz, Blotner's situation grew serious when a friend saw threatening posts seemingly directed at her on the social media platform Yik Yak.
People were saying if you see the Zionists spit on her. He said that he saw death threats, and I called my dad and he came and he picked me up at like 3 in the morning.
She no longer felt safe going to classes. The president of SUNY New Paltz did send this email to the campus community condemning anti-Semitism in its many forms, but for Blotner, it wasn't enough. In June, Lewin filed a formal complaint on behalf of Blotner and another New Paltz student with the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Civil Rights.
The universities have an obligation to make sure that all of their students have equal access to all of those educational opportunities.
SUNY New Paltz declined to speak with us on camera, and the students who Cassie says kicked her out of the club did not respond to multiple requests for comment, and in a text with Blotner claim they are not anti-Semitic. The university did give us a statement saying they've provided support and resources to, quote, those impacted by the events of the past year. They said they work with their Jewish students and staff to support them and address anti-Semitism. And they underscored as well that they support the free exchange of ideas under the First Amendment.
What did it feel like being kicked out of a group that you started because of a trauma that you experienced?
I feel like I'm having a bit of an identity crisis because I've been feeling like I had to decide if I was more a survivor of sexual violence or if I was feeling more Jewish that day because they wanted me to choose between the two.